آله وصحبه ومن والاه وبعد. All praise due to Allah and His praise and blessings and peace be upon our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, his family, his companions and his followers until the day of judgment. I bear witness that Allah is the only one worthy of worship and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam his last and final messenger. حديثنا اليوم, the hadith that we will cover inshallah tonight, هو حديث أبي سعد بن مالك رضي الله عنه. سعد بن مالك بن سنان الخدري رضي الله عنه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا ضرر ولا ضرار. وهذا الحديث حديث حسن رواه ابن ماجة والدارقطني وغيرهما مسندا، ورواه مالك في الموطأ عن عمرو بن يحيى عن أبيه عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مرسلا، فأسقط أبا سعيد وله طرق يقوي بعضها بعضا. This hadith in the authority of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiyallahu anh. Abu Sa'id, his name Sa'd, the son of Malik, the son of Sinan al-Khudri radiyallahu anhu arda. May Allah be pleased be with him. That the messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam said there should be neither ضرار nor ضرار. And I don't want to translate the word ضرر and ضرار right now, because the word ضرر and ضرار لها معاني كثيرة في هذا الحديث, has different meanings. So if I translate one translation, will only express one of the meanings. But usually people translate it, there is neither harming nor reciprocating of harm. So that's what you hear he translated this way. This hadith, hadithun hasan. And I told you before, al-hadith al-hasan, it means a hadith which has a little bit of weakness in it, but the weakness in this hadith does not take the hadith from the as an acceptable hadith to be rejected hadith. Because the weakness is very, very minor. يكون الحديث فيه ضعف بسيط جدا. مثال ذلك المشهور, الراوي, the narrator, sometimes is not 100% accurate. He does some mistakes. So يعني صدوق, إنسان لعله له شيء من الخطأ. He's not a very authentic or a very excellent memory. Okay, there are people who have a question mark about him. But he's not totally been rejected as a narrator by the ulama al-hadith. One of the reasons also al-ulama, they call this particular hadith hasan, because هذا الحديث أكثر ما روي مرسلا. What this means, روي هذا الحديث مرسلا. الحديث المرسل, there is a terminology, it's called mursal. This hadith is mursal. Anybody knows what's mursal? الحديث المرسل هو الذي أسقط فيه الصحابي. The hadith al-mursal, when the successor said the Prophet ﷺ said this and this. طيب الحسن البصري would say the Prophet said. Sa'id ibn Musayyab would say the Prophet said. Sa'id ibn Jubayr would say the Prophet ﷺ said. Amrah, she will say the Prophet ﷺ said. All those people never saw the Prophet ﷺ with their eyes. Or maybe they saw the Prophet ﷺ, but they were either babies or they didn't hear anything from the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, so in this case, their narration, there is someone in the middle. That's right. The companions is missing. طيب, what's the problem here? Ulama al-hadith, the majority of them, they will not accept al-hadith al-mursal. طيب, somebody might say, ya Sheikh, logically, okay? And this logic used by some scholars of hadith. They said, aren't we saying that all the companions are trustworthy? أليس الصحابة كلهم عدول? So it doesn't matter which companion this successor heard from. So we should classify it as authentic. What it makes a difference for us? If Al-Hasan al-Basri said that he heard Abu Sa'id al-Khudri or he didn't. It doesn't make a difference, that's right. So they said, since he didn't mention the companion's name, it doesn't matter because all the companions are equal when it comes. We don't say, oh, this companion his hadith is acceptable, but this companion is not. We don't do that. So that's why very few said from the scholar of hadith, they said, so that's why the mursal hadith should be accepted. Because the only one missing is a companion. And it doesn't matter which companion it is missing, because all of them equal when it comes to taking the hadith from them. Is this logically acceptable to you?
No.
Why?
Because there is a gap.
But he said the gap is filled with a companion. And any companion would make assumption. So what is the other possibility?
It can be verified.
No, what's the other possibility? There is assumption that only can be a companion.
Could be that could be not.
No, we don't have narrations from hypocrites at all. It could be another successor. It could be another person. Yani, for example, Sa'id ibn Jubayr didn't hear that directly from Ibn Abbas. He heard it from someone else. And that person heard it from Ibn Abbas. That's possible or not? Actually, give you an example. Al-Hasan al-Basri, he only met maybe 2 companions. But all the other ahadith that he narrated from Abu Huraira, he narrated through someone else who met Abu Huraira. So that person who met Abu Huraira, we don't know who he is. Maybe he is weak. Maybe he is not that authentic. So that's why al-hadith al-mursal cannot be just taken. That's why أكثر أهل العلم, the majority of the ulama, they said al-hadith al-mursal cannot be taken as an authentic unless we know who is in the middle. Or like Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah and others said, هناك بعض التابعين لا يروون إلا عن الصحابة إذا أرسلوا. There is a specific successors, individuals, we know by names, they are identified by the scholar of hadith, they never ever would say, the Prophet said, unless in between them and the Prophet only companions. They would never ever hide the name of another successor. How do we know that? How the scholar figured that out? They figured that out by looking at this particular narrators, all the narration that he narrated. He narrated maybe 1,000 narrations. So they look at the 1,000 narrations. Always when he heard this hadith, not directly from the companions, he mentioned by name who's the middle person. So they found out that he never ever hid the name of the successors, okay, that he narrated the hadith from. Anyway, I'm not going to drag you to the debate of the scholars of hadith, but that's how it is. And that's why the majority of the scholars, especially the latest scholars of hadith, they said al-hadith al-mursal will not be accepted until we have a proof that this hadith, we know exactly who is in the middle between the successor and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this hadith been narrated mursal and also been narrated muttasil, where Abu Sa'id al-Khudri was mentioned by name, that he is the one who the successor heard this hadith from. And that's why this hadith became very famous, and there is an agreement, اتفاق بين كل الفقهاء, between all the scholars with no exceptions, أن معنى هذا الحديث قمة في الصحة, that they agree that the text, the message, the hadith itself, لا ضرر ولا ضرار, is absolutely authentic. They might debate technically how to prove it, but the result, they are all agree that it is authentic hadith. And this hadith من أكثر الأحاديث الجامعة في السنة النبوية, one of the most comprehensive hadith that you can ever come across in the Sharia, in the deen of Islam, to the extent that this hadith became one of the most important rules in fiqh. هو من أحد القواعد العظمى في الشريعة, في الشريعة. الضرر, harm, is something known. Anything can be harmful to you, physically, psychologically, or harmful to someone else, to your children, to your wife, to your neighbors, to other people, to the environment, to the society, to animals. Okay? So anything that it cause harm is something the Prophet ﷺ said, لا ضرر. He basically negated it. طيب في لغة العرب, in Arabic language, when you build a sentence, you basically you have to have a مبتدأ وخبر, مسند ومسند إليه to make a full sentence. Okay, you say, for example, Muhammad أكل التفاح. Muhammad ate the apple. That's a full sentence. Okay, but when you miss the person who conduct the verb, there is something missing. When you say Muhammad, good student, you have a full sentence. But you say good student, who is it? There's something missing. Muhammad, okay, something missing. You have to full sentence. So here he said no harm. لا ضرر. وين الخبر? What that means? No harm. You have to figure out what is the part that's missing from the sentence to make it a full sentence. لابد انك هذا الخبر لا نافية للجنس مضمر مخفي. It is a pronoun, something that we have to figure it out. What is it? وشاع في ذا الخبر وشاع في ذا الباب إسقاط الخبر إذا المراد مع سقوطه ظهر. It's when we say لا إله إلا الله. There is no God except Allah. There is no deity except Allah. New deity what? You have to have new deity worth of worshipping. So you have to figure it out. So can anybody figure out what is the missing khabar here? How to make it a full sentence? How can we make this a full sentence? No harm. No harm what? There is no harm in Sharia, in Islam. In Islam there is no harm. طيب, what that means in Islam? يعني nothing in the legislation of Islam cause harm. هل هذا يحد المعنى? Are you making the meaning limited by saying in Islam?
No.
Complete sentence. Okay, that's very good. It is actually one of the meaning or one of the understanding. يعني لا ضرر. Maybe in English could be. I was trying to say, we can understand. I understood first what the doctor said. No ضرر in Sharia. يعني nothing of the ruling of Islam cause ضرر, cause harm. That's a very small circle. The bigger circle is Islam does not approve any kind of harm. So any harmful act, it is un-Islamic. And if you harm anything, that's against Islam. Is that clear? So ولذلك يقولون لا ضرر يقره الشرع. There is no harm ever approved by the Sharia. That's why if there is any harm, the Sharia will say, no, you can't do it. Because no harm. For example, it will harm me to stand up in the prayer. What I do? Sit down. It will harm me to use water for wudu. What I do? Use the sand. It will harm me to use the sand. You don't need to use the sand. You just hit basically whatever next to you and you can make tayammum with it. You can pray without wudu, without tayammum. It will harm me to fast. You don't fast. So anything that the Sharia see there is harm in it, immediately the Sharia will say, no, you are excused. Because the Sharia will never ever approve or promote something that can cause harm. And this is when it comes to the act of worship. So there is nothing Allah legislate for us cause us harm. And if it cause any harm, your person will be excused from it. But this is one side of it, which is abwab al-ibadat. The other side, abwab al-muamalat, in interacting. Islam said you cannot cause harm to anyone that you deal with, to anything that we deal with. You can harm the animal that you possess. You cannot harm the environment that you're living in. You cannot harm the society that you're living in. You cannot harm people around you. That's why Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, for example, said, إِذَا دَخَلَ أَحَدُكُمُ الْمَسْجِدِ. When you enter the masjid, وَمَعَكَ سَهْمٌ, and you holding your arrows. It's not allowed to keep the arrows uncovered. You have to cover it with your hand. Or you put it down, but you don't point it out. Why? Because you might cause harm. You hit someone when you're walking with your arrows. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ ordered them to do that. You can't walk to the masjid where there is something edges, something sharp that can harm people. That's Islamically haram. Not allowed. Not allowed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَا تُمْسِكُهُنَّ ضِرَارًا لِتَعْتَدُوا. You're not allowed to keep the wife just for the cause of causing harm to her. He doesn't love her. He doesn't want to live with her. He has no interest in her. And you know what? I'm just keeping her, not divorced, nor I'm like living with her like a husband, a good husband. I'm just keeping her like that, hanging. Just to harm her. That's not allowed. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, don't hold them in a way for no reason except to harm them, لا تضار والدة بولدها ولا مولود له بولده. And this is also في الرضاعة من بعد وصية يوصى بها أو دين غير مضار. When you write your will, you cannot write it in a way that it will harm those who you are in debt to. So I have a debt to someone, and you know what, before I die I distribute all my money. But what about the people who you should pay your debt first? You can't harm the person who given you the money or lend you the money. You should give him his money back. طيب. So if the Shara, if Islam does not legislate, approve any action or any transactions or any act of worship that can cause harm to you, logically, Islam also will never approve anything that you do to cause harm to other people, and when it comes to the area of cultures as well. So any harmful actions, even through cultures, will not be acceptable, will not be accepted. Here, lead me to the meat of the discussion. إيش معنى ضرر وضرار? What's ضرر and what's ضرار? From the beginning I'll tell you. Some scholars يقولون هذا التكرار للتأكيد وطلعوا من المشكلة. قالوا هو بمعنى واحد وطلعوا من المشكلة. يعني لا harm. No harm, no harm. They said the Prophet was just he making an emphasis on the importance of this issue. There is no harm in Islam. He repeating himself. Some scholars said that. لكن في عندنا قاعدة جميلة في اللغة وقاعدة استأخذها الأصوليون. You know, أصول الفقه, the science of أصول الفقه, هو مجموعة قواعد. It's originally a combination of rules taken from Arabic language, مأخوذة من قواعد اللغة, some of them, and some of them taken from al-mantiq. It's a logical rulings, common sense, okay? وبعضها from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So this is one of the rules that is already established in Arabic language, and also al-fuqaha use it in Sharia. يقولون التأسيس أولى من التأكيد. Whenever you see a sentence repeated twice, we say it makes more sense that the Sharia want to establish a new ruling, not just to emphasize the old one. And whenever you see a word repeated twice, you should not think of, oh, it's the same meaning. No. You should always say there is ta'sis. There is a new meaning here we're learning. So the second word add a new meaning, bringing a new meaning to the hadith. هذا قاعدة عامة في مثلا يقول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من بكر وابتكر. When you come to Jumu'ah, whoever come early and ابتكر, come early, but just changing the way the word is, the format of the word. Some ulama said it is the same meaning. Yani come so early. He just want to emphasize on the importance of coming early. But you see the majority of the fuqaha said no. That means that the early as one and the other one has another meaning. غسل واغتسل. They always try to think of the Prophet ﷺ whenever he repeat a word or repeat a sentence, he's trying to add more meaning in the second one. So that led this first opinion not to be very popular, which is no harm, just an emphasis. They said no, that's not what the Prophet ﷺ meant. So the other group of scholars said no, there is two meanings here. Okay, what are they? Here this group divided. هؤلاء اللي قالوا في فرق بين لا ضرر ولا ضرار اختلفوا. How to define the word ضرر and the word ضرار. They said الضرر, what you do it with the intention of harming. والضرار, it is the harm that happened to someone unintentionally. So if someone said, you know what, I unintentionally harmed him. You know what, I hit his car unintentionally. Can he just go away with it? He said, it's qada wa qadar. Khalas, let's go. Or the judge will say, no, la darar wa la dhirar. You harmed his car, you fix it. You pay a penalty. That's right. Even if he claimed that there is no intention. So here they said, some of the ulama said, la darar, it means there is no harm will be acceptable in Sharia if you do it intentionally, nor if it is done unintentionally. It will not be tolerated in Sharia. Okay? That's why if you kill someone by mistake, do you just go away with it or there is a penalty? There is a penalty. Okay? So here, that's one opinion. The second opinion, they said لا ضرر نفي للاسم ولا ضرار نفي للفعل. قالوا بمعنى, what that means, no harm in Sharia and no harm, so Allah will not ever harm you through His legislation. So that's the first harm. There is no harm from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's side. Then the Prophet says, وَلَا ضِرَارٍ, and no harm should come from your side. واضح? It's clear? So لا ضرر في الشرع ولا ضرار من المكلفين لبعضهم البعض. There is no harm from Allah to anyone through the legislation, nor any one of you should harm others. That's another opinion. The third opinion among this group, which is adopted by an Imam Ibn Abdul Barr rahimahullah, Ibn Salah, and great number of scholars. And that's became the most famous opinion, the last one I'm going to say right now. الضرر هو الذي لا يكون فيه منفعة لموصل الضرر. والضرار هو الذي يكون فيه منفعة لموصل الضرر أو العكس. الضرار قالوا هو أن الموصل لهذا الضرر منتفع به. الضرر تكون أنت منتفع به والضرار لا تنتفع به. Which it means, they said the first one, the Prophet ﷺ said no ضرر, يعني you cannot harm someone because this will benefit you. You can't do that. ضرار is to harm someone even if you're not going to benefit anything. I give you an example. You harm someone for the sake of you getting benefit personally. Like what? I come to your land. You have, mashallah, beautiful land and you have well. I come and I dig a well in a way that I go deep to where your water comes from to take it all away from you. or I put hoses inside my land all the way to where your water comes from and take it. So I harmed you because you don't have any water for your farm anymore for the sake of benefiting myself. Is that clear? Is that clear? Okay? For example, I don't like the hot summers in Houston. You're my neighbor. أنا والدكتور neighbors. Okay? So very hot in the summer. So أخونا بالله, what he did, he came and I parked my car in front of my house. He came and he put a huge tree where I park my car. So it will give shade to his car. And I now have to find a place to park. So he harmed me to benefit himself. Or vice versa. Okay? Oh, mashallah, ما يضر حد الشيء. So here did you see it? طيب, harming without any benefit. I don't even get a benefit. I just want to make it hard for you. This is used to be in the old days. In the old days, there is no limit to divorce. In the old days, before Islam, there is no limit to divorce. So, كان الرجل يطلق امرأته. He will divorce his wife. And before her waiting period finished, one night before it's finished, he said, I take you back. Then he said, she goes back to him. Then he said, I divorce you. Then she stayed another 3 months. Then before it's finished, one day he said, I take you back. And she lives like that for years. Did his benefit anything? Nothing. He doesn't live with her or he doesn't do anything. He just let her lie. He wants to harm her. هذا حرام. This is a harming without benefiting you anything. Another example. You know what? I divorced my wife. And I divorced my wife. She has kids. She has kids. I know that she wants to get married, to live, to survive. خلاص, to go to her way. And I have no interest in kids or anything. I cannot even raise kids. I tell her, if you get married, I'm taking the kids. طيب, can you take care of the kids? No. But that's it. Just to harm her. Just to make sure that she never get married again in her life. Because no mother will, most of mothers, they will not sacrifice their kids to acquire a husband. Okay? So if he does this, and this is intention, and go to the judge said, get out of here. You keep the kids, you get married. واضح? Is that clear? Is that clear? So here, the majority of the ulama said, when the Prophet said, no ضرر, no ضرار, يعني no ضرر, that you cause to other people because you want to benefit yourself, nor you harm other people for no reason. Just for the sake of making their life difficult. Okay? طيب, what is Islamically the ruling in regard to this issue? Harming other people. Or causing harm to others. Note that the first category, where you harm, or the second category, you harm people for no reason, this is absolutely what? Haram, forbidden. No very benefit, it's a pure harm. This no doubt what? Forbidden. But the other one, where I can cause harm to you because of the benefit that I get. Is this absolutely haram, or there is question mark about it? Here we say, Al-Ulama rahimahumullah ta'ala debated over this. The fuqaha, the Muslim jurists. They split. Al-Shawafi' wal-Ahnaf, they took a position, they said no. The hadith said no harm, so nothing, even if you will benefit yourself from this, but you're going to cause harm to others, it is not allowed. Period. The Hanabila said, hold on. And in Malikiyah, in so many cases as well, they said, hold on. If we just take this literally like this and said, any harm caused to someone, معناها I cannot do it, you will make people's lives so difficult, miserable. Things will not accomplished. Give you an example. The city of Houston want to expand the highway. That's right. Now they have to close down businesses. People cannot enter to that business. That's right, Muhammad? So how would we say, no, City of Houston, haram, because you cause harm to the people of these businesses. You cannot do that. It's not allowed. The Hanabila said, no, you can't say that. Yes, I'm going to cause harm to people, but for general benefit, for the benefit of the masses. They said that's an example. Another example. Me and Dr. Abdul Latif, again, neighbors. My house is, mashallah, higher than his house. Okay? I'm in the second floor. When I open my window, I can see his whole entire house. He tells me, Sheikh وليد, Jazakallah khair, your Sheikh, and you fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you taught us last week, no harm, and you harming me. Like, what can I do, Doctor? He said, I want you to close the windows, and you basically put plywoods in it, and you ever don't open your windows. Because you're harming, you're making us cannot go outside. My wife cannot go outside in the backyard. And you can see my bed. You can my bedroom. You can see my places. صح ولا لا? You can't do that. The Hanafi, the Shafi'i, in particular, for this example, said yes, the Qadi should make the windows locked. The Hanabila, the Imam Ahmad said no. قال هذا يفسد البيت. He said that will cause harm. To lock, you need the sun, you need fresh air. It's not going to be healthy. There is a pure benefit here happening. Did you get now the debate how it goes between the fuqaha? That will be something interesting. Like, for example, today, people will say, with all this technology that exists today, technology causes harm. IT, technology, cause harm. Medicines. You guys give us prescriptions. I just make sure that I don't read the side effects. It causes harm, but it causes benefit as well. So the Hanabila and the Malikiyya said, you cannot just say, because the Prophet ﷺ said, La ضرار, no harm exists, you can just take it blindly like this. You have to weight the benefits versus or the harm versus the benefits, advantage versus disadvantage. And you look at multiple things. So each case will be looked at it by itself. For example, if someone, the painkillers that he takes is going to cause for him more harm than the benefit, we said no, haram to drink it, haram to consume it, haram for you to prescribe it to a patient. If you know 100% for that. But if you know there is more good than harm, that's fine. If I will do something in my house, and maybe I will cause a little bit of inconvenience, but you know what? We need to fix the street so everybody can be safe when they travel. So that's why these businesses get harmed. But you know what? We need that. We need to remove you from your home to expand the area or the masjid or whatever the issue is. But if let's say, I am building in my house, expansion, I'm going to go 3rd floor. خلاص? Can I do that? I can if it's legally acceptable. Water authority give you permission. You can do that, that's right. I'm going 3rd floor. يجي again the doctor say, يا شيخ وليد حرام عليك. I couldn't go to sleep. And sound and noises. Harm. La ضرر ولا ضرر. I said, yes, but I need that because I cannot build without noise. But if I make a noise, there is no benefit from it, or the benefit of it is nothing. Like, for example, hey, I want to have fun time. So me and my kids at the middle of the night in the backyard screaming, ah! all I need to release my son Khalid. That's all what I need to do. He will wake up the whole neighborhood. Okay? He will take care of it. We said haram. This is Islamically not allowed because you cause harm. But if the afternoon the kids want to play in the backyard, you said, no, you know what, you're causing headache to me. I want to be relaxed. No, that's the time where kids play. But outside that time, it will not be allowed. Did you see how this makes sense now? So that's why, in my opinion, the Hanabila and the Malikis really were more flexible. And I think it's their opinion. It is much, much stronger than the other group. So if this has been explained now to you, we come to a very important conclusion, which is, or one of the most important conclusions of this class, that you're not allowed to cause any harm to yourself. لذلك, that idea, أنا حر أفعل في نفسي ما أشاء, that's wrong. Some people said, I'm free, this is my body, I can do with it whatever I want. That's absolutely not true. Because the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, لا ضرار, you cannot cause harm to yourself or to others. That's why this is one of the main evidence that we use to say consuming drugs, consuming hookah, smoking is haram in Islam. Because it first causes harm to yourself and others. Okay? So anything will be 100% sure that it cause harm to the person physically, it will not be allowed. It will not be allowed. Also, from this, al-ulama, the Prophet ﷺ established the ruling of, what do you call it in English? Al-hajr al-sihhi, quarantine. He said, ﷺ, if there is a disease or a plague in a city, you can't leave it, you cannot enter it. A lot of people said you cannot enter it as a visitor, but you can enter it as a rescue, as a doctor, as a healer, but not, خلاص, you let them die in there. Nobody ever said that. Okay? It means like you don't enter it as interacting with people to visit or something like that. So that concept, let's assume there is someone inside this city who's not sick. You said you're raising the risk but the risk is bigger to let people get out until you have a process to 100% sure that this is basically right. Like what we did here in America with Ebola. Somebody comes from the West Africa or certain countries in Africa, he will be in quarantine and checked, and maybe will be, you remember this lady from New Jersey, she was so mad at the governor because he let her stay for 21 days or something like that, and she went to the court, and I believe what the governor did was correct, because this is, yes, I cause harm to her, but for the greater benefit, which is to make sure that she is free from that disease. And I'm not 100%, I don't mean supporting what he did exactly, but I support the concept, because if the doctor cleared her, she should be cleared to go. Okay? One of the here issues, everything has a risk. Everything has harm. Sheikh, drinking coffee causes harm. Speaking of talking, smoking. Like somebody told me, what's the difference between smoking and drinking coffee? Eating meat causes harm. So why, Sheikh, you don't say eating meat haram as well? Yes, but the harm of eating meat is not in any way, in any format, equal to the harm that's caused by smoking. Nobody ever say that. That's yaqeen. This is certain. The red meat, people have been eating it for years and years and years. Yes, if you overeat it. Yes, if you diagnose with certain disease, you have a cholesterol, you have all this, and you keep eating it, overeating it, it will not be allowed for you to do it. Absolutely. And so forth. Riding an airplane, it could be harm. There is a risk, in it. But because the risk is very minimum, everything in the life it has risk. But if the risk is minimum and controlled, in this case it's allowed to do. Same thing. What if someone like my daughter want to go to do bungee jumping? So my mother-in-law asked me, is that allowed? Bungee jumping. And she doesn't mean the issue of hijab, and she's like, no, she manage all this, all female instructors, stuff like that. Would it be allowed? Because there is a risk involved. But if you look at the risk in it, it's very minor, it's very small. What do you call that? Skydiving. Same thing. The risk is very minimum. Diving, deep sea fishing. The risk is controlled and is minimum. It's not. Maybe it's more dangerous to ride a car on the highway than to do a bungee jumping. Absolutely. Like, one guy was telling me in Facebook once, because I said I dove somewhere, it's called Shark Lagoon, said it's haram for you to do that. And I said to the guy, you know what? You know that it's more likely to be hit by a flying piano in the street than to be attacked by a shark in the water. The percentage wise. You know what they mean by flying piano? Because in Europe they get the piano from the windows. All the buildings have very tiny small doors. So people, they don't actually do the furniture from the door. In Egypt, like that, old buildings are like that as well. There is like what do you call that? Pulling. Yeah, you pull it from the window. Okay, so they said the percentage of being attacked by a shark versus hitting by a flying piano in the street is higher actually than to be attacked by a shark. So here, this will be as a way we use this no harm. Yani we're 100% sure for it. The risk is high percentage in it, and so forth. طيب. One of the examples that the fuqaha talk about, a harm that it is acceptable, like building the dust and stuff like that, but unacceptable. Let's say I have a playground in my backyard and I want to bring it down. I put a dynamite to blow it up. My house will not be affected, but my neighbor's house will be affected. We said, no, you can't do that. Not allowed. You have to find a way to do it because out of the ordinary. This is, yes, but if I put it down, it's going to make a noise. Maybe dust, that's acceptable. But if it's going to cause a harm that's unusual, we'll say no. The hadith here, we use it, no harm to your neighbors, to your neighbor. طيب. Based on this hadith, based on this qaida, تفرعت قواعد كثيرة. There are so many branches. I just want to mention it quickly to you. الأول قاعدة ثانية اسمها الضرر. The original ruling is الضرر يزال. Any harmful thing, it has to be removed. Anything cause harm has to be removed. العلماء based on this branch out. الضرر يرفع بقدر الإمكان. قاعدة فرع عن القاعدة الأصلية. You should reduce the harm as much as you can. Yes, for example, there is a fight between two. I'm trying to give you variety of examples and how it's been used by average person on the street to leaders. The leader of the Muslim country. There is a war. And you know what? In the war, the Muslim losing the war. The Muslim losing the war. There is harm happening to the Muslim. In this case, he can make what? A treaty, a deal. Even if this deal has harm, but you can reduce the harm as much as you can. You know what? I'm going to pay you money. You pay to the non-Muslim country money just for them to stop fighting, to stop killing us. Because what is worst? Losing money or losing lives? Which one's worse? Lives. Losing lives is more worse. So that's why you will pay them jizya in order for you to save the life of people. Okay? So بقدر الإمكان. For instance, you know what? I'm going to do an operation. There is harmful. I do the minimum requirement from it. I don't expand. So خلاص, I'm harming him. Let me do it the whole 9 yards. No. يعني بقدر الإمكان you reduce the amount of harm on yourself or others. طيب الضرر يزال بالضرر الأخف. Another branch out. They branch out and said any harm can be removed with something less harmful, but not more harmful. Not more harmful. Give you example. I give him a medicine. The harm is that he is dying. I give him a medicine that causes less harm than the disease that he has. واضح? Is that clear? طيب. الضرر لا يزال بمثله. Branch out, another قاعدة. To branch out from the original one. You cannot remove a harm with another harmful thing. And for example, you know a thief who's stealing, so you steal from him. You steal from the thief. You can't Robin Hood style. You can't do that. This is, you're doing harm equal to the harm. Or sometimes even worst, which is terrorist attacks today. Perfect example. You know what? There is harm happening by this or that country. And you go and you kill them, you bomb them, you do what he did, like 9/11, like, all these areas. What did he do? You made worse. You caused another harm. You killed innocent people. And in this regard, I would like to make a comment on the news of today, which is the incident that took place in Paris. Let me make this clear. Number one, that the actions of killing those civilians, those reporters, those people who are in their office safe and not expecting any harm, is absolutely un-Islamic, absolutely a cowardly attack. Okay? And killing a person on the floor, I don't know if you saw the picture or not, the guy who raising his hands up, the soldier just walking and shooting him in his head, that shows what the level of inhumanity that those people have. Okay? And absolutely that's unacceptable Islamic. That's number one. Number two, that those individuals, this specifically newspaper, which is the satire, the style that they use, is absolutely unacceptable too. Like making fun of the Prophet ﷺ, making fun of Jesus, making fun of Christianity, of religions, and all religion, by the way. They're not only Muslims. They're hated by all people across the board. And disguised and been no respect from any faith community. And we all know that. So we know that these guys don't deserve to be told them, hey, you're good people, or you represent the concept of freedom of speech. I don't think so. I think they're a perfect example of those who misuse the concept of freedom of speech. But thanks to these terrorist organizations, unfortunately, that they made them heroes. After they made them victims and made everybody chant for them. After everybody knows how low type of satire that they have and kind of business that they have. That nobody had respect for them. Everybody knows them, that they're silly, they're stupid, and the way they publish their views. Absolutely was not ever true. So now they made them the good guys. They did not vengeance the Prophet ﷺ. They have shamed themselves and brought shame to the religion that they claim that they follow, unfortunately. And it is sad. It is sad that you see how messed up the world become. And by the way, 2 days before that, there is another suicide or another attack. It's a suicide attack. Was done in Saudi Arabia. I don't know if you heard about it, by this ISIS group. They were in the border, and they called for the highest rank officer exists at that station. And they said, we are with ISIS and we give ourselves up and we repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You guys have a whole entire program for, rehabilitation, stuff like that. So the general who was there came by himself. And subhanAllah, I was reading about this general. He was fasting that day. It was Monday. And he was fasting that day. And this is not something the government's saying. This is the people who knows him. Even so many imams and shuyukh said, I testify that this guy just 2 days ago were praying Fajr with us, and the same day he was praying with them at Fajr as well, in the masjid in the nearby city. So everybody knows him, very known. He's general with 3 stars. Anyway, so he came to talk to them. And also he blew himself up. He killed the general. He killed many people with him as well. So those extreme groups, they have no respect for life. Allah, it doesn't matter. Your name Muhammad, your name John, your name whatever your name is, they have no respect for it. And this ideology, it just, unfortunately, it is something need to be fought and need to be challenged and warned from it. So going back to the point, one of the major rules that we have, major evidence that we have against all these terrorist attacks that take place in the world, that we say, yes, there is harm happening from a person, a organization, or a country, but you cannot remove that harm with worse harm, with another harm caused to a citizen. That's not Allah. That's not Allah. Finally, they have also, they branch out with another rule. It says, الضرر الخاص يتحمل في الضرر العام. If there is a harm that is private versus harm that is general for the masses, you know what? We said the personal thing can be tolerated, but not the thing that caused the harm to the masses. Like for fixing the road. Yes, I'm going to harm the individual who owned the business. But the benefit, but keeping the street tight like this cause accident, cause problems to the masses. So that's why we said, you know what? We can live with that harm that happened. It's a temporary for those individuals, or maybe permanent. You cannot have business anymore in this place. Is that clear? So these are some of the qawa'id, some of the principles that comes out of this hadith. Again, there is no harm in Sharia. Whatever the Sharia legislate will not contain anything harm, and anything that Allah can legislate upon us that cause harm, you will be excused from it. No harm should be done by the mukallaf, by the person, towards anything around him, environment, animals, hurting animals, harming them for no reason. It's absolutely unacceptable. I was reading today a story by Dr. Salih Al-Aid, very well-known scholar in Saudi Arabia, talking about one of his relatives, that his nephew knows a guy who used to hunt in Saudi Arabia something called jarabia, which is something that live in the desert. It's a type of no, it is more like a squirrel, kind of squirrels, but lives in the desert. It's a small, fast run type of rat, I believe, but people eat it, or they hunt it, or whatever. He used to hunt to catch them when he was young, and he used to take their eyes off, and he would let them run in the desert with no eyes, just making fun. So his nephew said, Allah is my witness that I have seen this person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him 3 kids, all of them no eyes. 2 of them they can't see. The 3rd one, actually it has a genetic problem that the eyes is not even, there's no operation, nothing can work. And he had to live and to take care of the 3 kids in his house. And another person said as well, he attended a funeral, And when he gave his condolences to the father, he said, I'm not sure. What can I do for my son? He said, my son, about a month ago, he intentionally saw a dog with its children. And he intentionally run the dogs, the pups, over them. He said, Wallahi, in less than a month, I was with him, getting out from the car, crossing the street, and a car came and hit him in front of my eyes. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will never allow this kind of harm that happens. Some people are very cruel to animals, very harmful to the environment around them. They don't care. Spill things in areas and cause harm to all this haram in Islam. And because of this hadith. And the person should be conscious of that. In the place of work, place of where we live, that we congregate and so forth. We cannot remove harm with similar harm. We cannot remove harm with something bigger, worse, always with something less. And whenever there is a personal harm versus a harm that affects the mass of the public, we can tolerate this, the personal, for the sake of protecting the masses. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yarzuqna iyakum al-fiqh fi ad-din wa sallallahu wa sallam ala nabiyyina Muhammad.